Introductory note. Oliver Goldsmith, a British novelist and poet, born at Pallas, County Longford, Ireland, November 10, 1728, died in London, April 4, 1774. His father was a poor clergyman of the established church, but some of his relatives were in good circumstances and contributed funds to send him to Dublin University as a sizar, or poor scholar. He entered in 1744, and took his degree 5 years after. He went home, ostensibly to study for the church. In 2 years he presented himself as a candidate for ordination, but was rejected. He tried tutorship, and several other things, with no result. An uncle gave him £50 to go to London, where he proposed to study law. He got as far as Dublin, where he lost all his money at the gaming table, and went back to his friends for a while. Toward the end of 1752 they sent him to Edinburgh to study medicine. He ran through his money, and fled to the continent. He attended lectures on medicine at Leiden, and afterward went to Paris, whence he started for a pedestrian tour on the continent. It is certain that he made an extended tour, with little or no means of support except his fiddle. Among the places which he visited was Padua, where he claimed to have received his degree as Doctor of Medicine. His story of the philosophical vagabond, in The Vicar of Wakefield, is held to be more or less autobiographical. Early in 1756 Goldsmith, now about 28, made his way back to London, ragged and penniless. During the next 2 or 3 years we catch glimpses of him as assistant to an apothecary, as a corrector of the press for Richardson, the novelist, as usher in a school, and finally as a hack writer for the Monthly Review. Once we find him an unsuccessful applicant at the College of Surgeons for the position of hospital mate. Somehow he managed to keep his head above water, for in 1759 he published a small volume entitled An Inquiry into the Present State of Polite Learning in Europe. This attracted some notice, and made the author known among literati and publishers. He wrote for several newspapers, among them the Public Ledger, to which he furnished a series of Chinese letters, which were soon republished under the title of The Citizen of the World. Goldsmith was now able to escape from his humble garret. He made the acquaintance of men of the highest rank in literary circles, notable among whom were Garrick, Burke, and Johnson. He now earned a fair income by literary work, but he always managed to spend more than he earned. About the middle of 1761 he found himself considerably in arrears to his widowed landlady, who gave him the choice between 3 courses: to pay his bill, to go to prison, or to marry her. Goldsmith applied to Dr. Johnson to extricate him from this predicament, and put in his hand a bundle of manuscript. The doctor took the manuscript, sold it to a bookseller, and handed the money to Goldsmith, thus saving him from going to prison or marrying the widow Fleming. That manuscript, which was not published until 6 years after, was The Vicar of Wakefield. During the last dozen years of his life Goldsmith performed an immense amount of literary labor. Among these works, mainly compilations, are A History of England, A History of Greece, A History of Rome, The History of Animated Nature, Life of Bean Nash, A Short English Grammar, and A Survey of Experimental Philosophy. He also wrote several very clever comedies, among which is She Stoops to Conquer. His fame in literature, however, rests mainly upon the novel The Vicar of Wakefield, and the 2 poems, The Traveller, 1765, and The Deserted Village, 1770.